What's up, guys? Welcome back to another trading video with me, Oscar, also known as Blackbright in Profitly Chat. Today we're going to talk about a trade that I made. Turned out to be a loss, unfortunately, but as always, you can always learn something from your trades, whether it's a loss or a profit. And if you watched some of my previous videos, or if I hadn't said it yet, the losses usually turns out to be the best learning tools that you can get. You can watch as many DVDs, you can watch as many webinars as possible, but until you get that real trading experience and until you see what mistakes you make, you can't improve on them, because until then you don't know of them. So real quick, gonna show you my so to say proof. I took like a 2 cent loss, is it? No, 2 pennies even. I don't know. It turned out to be 1.6% in loss. And also, I recommend you up that speed level to 125. I tend to talk slow on these videos as I want to think a lot before I say something. So if you're one of those people, just like me, that hate people that talk slow, up that speed. But anyhow, let's talk about VLRX and what made this turn out to be a bad trade, and what I can improve on until next time. So first off, we're going to talk about the setup. Nothing new. It's a gap and crap. I'm looking for a gap and crap in pre-market, just at open of pre-market trading, of course, seeing VLRX and ACHV as two potential candidates. What I want to look for is, first off, I want to see if there's an ATM or if there is warrants, and secondly, I want to see why the stock is up, if the news is hyped or if it's legit. And the main reason why I missed the trade, the pre-market trade, because I traded this at market open, which seems to be kind of weird place to trade it in hindsight as you look at pre-market action. But how come I did miss the pre-market action was mainly because, and this is kind of embarrassing, because when I see someone in chat that isn't meticulous about their filings, I usually point that out. Like, hey, be meticulous about your preparation. Check the filings, look for an ATM, look for the warrants, look for a recent split, stuff like that. And the embarrassing part was that I wasn't meticulous. I don't know, I wasn't in my best mental stage or something, but because I can show you real quick, because if you look into how it's laid out, I don't know, I was focusing in on too much of offering. So when you first look into the disclosure, there's nothing. Load more. Then you have the 10Q, but I just skipped that 10Q. I went straight to the offering. And the offering basically says there's 13.7 million shares to be issued at a price of, what was it? 1.75. And this was the only thing that was on my mind. I just skipped the 10Q, or I looked into the 10Q to look how many of these warrants were still outstanding, but it didn't come to my mind to look for an aftermarket offering. And man, what I got paid for that. I was just emotionally bleeding through all pre-markets. 2.5 hours of just crying inside, because this plays out as a perfect ATM gap up. It gaps up to a certain percentage wise, or it spikes up and gets a high of a certain percentage wise from previous close, and then when the top is in, then it's just a downhill. So Yeah. And this is also one of the reasons why I think I made this trade, because as I sat there watching this, just getting crushed, and remember, I didn't know that they had an at the market offering at 8 a.m. at this point. Not until like 8:30 or 8:47 or something like that, I looked into chat, and one guy that shorted it really good, and props to him. I can't remember his name now, but he said they have an at the market offering, and I'm like, no freaking way that I missed that. Like, that's the core of this setup. That's the core niche and the core advantage that I want to have of people. I want to look into the filings and see, hey, it's an ATM, and I want to have that percentage wise so that I can short as near as the top as possible. But like, that like blew my mind when I saw that. I'm like, I missed that. Like, you had one job, man, and you missed that. So truly frustrated about that, we went into open, and we first got this small brief push, and then this big like death drop. And this is a very good pattern to short into, and I did a good job of shorting into 185 into this strength. But I'm saying but here. This is a, when you see just this picture is a very good short. But you have to have in mind that this is not a good or an ideal setup on this stock. Why? Because it had decreased from its highs in pre-market all the way down to the low of pre-market of 44%. So it has already decreased a bunch, and you cannot expect a stock just as going up as high as for going up for infinity of time. You cannot expect it to go down or decrease like 100% straight off. It's going to have some bounces. Don't get me wrong, this is probably going to decrease some more, or it has set its low and squeeze into the afternoon. But at this pre-market or at this open, this trade is not ideal because we're already in a decrease of approximately 30% at market open, and that doesn't give you the best odds. It had been a totally different story if the stock was trading sideways in pre-market, holding its pre-market highs, and then setting up this like candles, this pattern. That's a perfect way to short it, because then it shows, okay, man, people are getting stuck in here, and this just confirms that the top is in. And your risk of this or this, depending on how secure you are on the setup. But why this doesn't work out on this stock is because we have this huge decrease, and all these shorts are getting trapped. Because as they see this, they get frustrated. Oh my god, why didn't I chase it up here? Or why didn't I chase it up here? And they enter lower and lower and lower. And or even people that held on to it with a good average are getting like somewhat sketchy, or not sketchy, but they're getting uncomfortable because they want to take their profits and run. So when this level held up like 3 times, that's when people start covering. And the at the market offering, of course, helps it not just to rip, which is good. But I exited out in here, in this candle, I think. And props for me for doing that, because I said to myself, okay, hey, you have went out of your comfort zone, or went out of your plan or your original thesis, because I didn't know. My original thesis was, okay, this is a stock with warrants. I want to see this gap up hold its pre-market action, then spike, and then short as the top is in. That was my thesis, but it turned out to be an ATM, and I have other strategies or other ways to cut around ATMs and to how to react and treat them. So I noticed that, okay, hey man, you're chasing this, and you're not chasing it at a good point, because we have all these shorts getting trapped, and if it can squeeze, you're going to get squeezed as well. And something else that was that was somewhat of questioning was how big of the float was on this. Yahoo Finance says 1.6. Finwis says like the opposite, 21 point something of shares outstanding of 22.5 million. So giving the reason also that I didn't know what a float was, I didn't know how hard it was going to squeeze. So I didn't want to be in it. And the main lessons behind this is, or main lessons and main things to take away from this. Props for me, first off, for recognize that my trading thesis was now changed. Something to improve on, like, be more meticulous, man. I have even made a trading checklist that I'm supposed to check every time before I take a trade. It looks like something like this. So ticker, date, and then I go through the SEC filings, the overall year chart, thinking process of other people, general news, earnings, overall market, stuff like that. So basically, the two main lessons from this is be more meticulous, go through that checklist that you have created, and remember your original thesis is, if that's destroyed or if that somewhat turns out to be the wrong case, then you have to refine and find a plan for the thesis or for the current situation. And I think that's it, guys. There's not much to say about this trade, but as I said in the beginning of the video, you can always learn stuff from your trades, whether it's a loss or a profit. So until next time, when I have been meticulous and checked off my trading checklist and made a super good trade on ATM gap up, I'll see you in chat, and hope you trade well and learn something from these mistakes that I make so that you can avoid them. Peace, guys.